All right, how's she going, eh? Out here in the stable where the horses are born. And yeah, we're doing a little head work, a little porting and whatnot. Um, these are not the best heads, but unfortunately we have no choice but to use them because we need the closed combustion chamber. Ideally, we'd have a set of 915 heads from 67. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people say, why don't you use aluminum heads and whatnot? It just comes down to money on this project. And don't get me wrong, I'm not arguing. It probably costs more to get a set of iron heads done properly than buying a set of aluminum heads. But myself, I've always liked the look of an iron head under a guy's hood. It's just, it doesn't look like a block of aluminum cut out. I just like the look of it. But in this case, we're running these because this is what we have, and times are pretty tough up here. Like car parts have doubled in the last 10 years. Tradesman wages are exactly the same as 10 years ago, and our dollar is worth less than a ruble. Like it's like 60 some cents for American dollar. Plus we have to pay shipping and whatnot. Unless you go through Summit and pay over $300, then you get your shipping free, which is a real good deal. So that's why we're using what we have, and we're gonna try and squeeze every ounce we can out of it. So I'm not the best head porter. I don't have the most experience doing it, although I like to read a lot, and I have spent many months of my life on a die grinder, working as a fitter. I always try to do a good fit up for my welders, because especially if it's x-ray work, not that they can x-ray OLEDs or whatnot, it'll be dye pen or mag particle test. But I've always, when I cut something with a torch or a plasma, I always die grind it and have a nice fit up. So it's not my first time on a die grinder, that's for sure. But so what I did is I tapered where all the guides are. These guides are nice and tight, they've been knurled. And it's had hardened seats put in the exhaust. The exhaust seats have been changed. So we're gonna make them work. There's a few little spots I might need to touch up yet, but used the carbide cutter and then went over it with a 80 grit roll, and it came out pretty good. These 516 castings are not the best casting. I've ported some olds heads before, and they definitely have nicer casting material. They don't have so much I don't know, pinholes and whatnot in them. But yeah, I didn't want to go too crazy because I didn't want to hit water, but I did where it counts, that's for sure. Yeah, so I raised the roofs all the way to the gasket. I pretty much gasket matched it, and and concentrated on the push rod slots. Yeah, there's a few spots I gotta touch up yet, but the push, where the push tube pinches, that type of thing. But yeah, I don't know if you have any constructive criticism, let me know. I know the old Mopar, they used to have 10 plates for like 906 heads and whatnot. I kind of measured each one and kind of kept them pretty close to each. But looks pretty good. He might say, what the hell's he doing? He's porting the crossover. No, I block these off always. So what I did is I beveled it, and then I'll cut a piece of plate that fits in there nice and tight, and I'll have it recessed a bit, and that way the bevel gives me some meat to weld, and I'll grind it down smooth. Nyrod would be the best. 7018 works as well. And believe it or not, for this, flux core does work for what it is. Like, it's not, all it is blocking exhaust. So flux core works. It actually works better than like MIG with gas. I've tried both. A guy could probably braze it, but then again, you're getting an area extremely hot and, you know, might crack. Probably not. You'll probably be okay. But what I'll do is I'll recess a piece of plate in there. I'll get it like probably 400 degrees or something with a torch, and then I'll weld little sections and peen it, and then I'll grind it down smooth, and we'll be good. I've seen another guy on a huge channel that deals with Mopars, and he plugs it with just flux core, like just welds the whole bloody thing shut, and that's just idiotic. It would be much less time and better to cut a piece of plate. Not to mention you're not putting so much heat in one area, because you think about it, you're getting one area crazy hot with all the weld. Over here still cold. Something's got to give. So you know, very prone to causing cracks that way. But no, I think they came out not too bad for what we have. So yeah, this one's pretty much done. There's probably a few little spots I'll touch up, but yeah, they're going on that 400 Mopar with stock pistons and a little too much cam. Victor intake, headers, 750 double pumper. Once we get some good passes in, we'll start throwing a 100 shot on it. But and it's going in Mike's Lark. But yeah, what we're doing here is not by choice. We just have no other choice, and that's why we're playing with kind of junk, more or less, because you know, it's a hobby of ours, but it's getting to the point now that it's a hobby a guy can't really afford to do too much on like a tradesman salary. So it should run respectable times. Even if I had all the money in the world, I'd probably still run an iron head on it, like a 915. It would just have massive amounts of work done to it, because I personally like the look. But yeah, we'll see how she does. But it definitely should flow a lot better than it did before. I noticed I'm not like most of my experiences with small block Fords and Oldsmobiles, but I've noticed these heads are very, very similar layout to a small block Chev head. I got a couple laying on the floor by me, and yeah, very, very similar to a small block Chev head. So, but everything's bigger on these, so they should you do just nice, because like I've said before, a 400 small block Chevy with a set of camel hump heads, you know, it nothing to laugh about. They can turn on pretty good. So I'd say 400 Mopar with you know, these heads with some porting should do pretty well too. For valve springs, we're running those are the old ones. We're gonna run 911 comp single springs. They're a single spring, but they're pretty serious single spring with a Howard's cam. It's solid, flat top it. Mike has a set of crane roller rockers for it, shaft style obviously, and I think they're 1-7s. If the factory's 1-6, these are 1-7, so it should do pretty good. I got to look into it a bit more myself, but back facing. So on your exhaust valve, I can't see it, you know, I can't see, maybe I was thinking if a guy kind of took this lip off, it might help flow at, you know, mid lift, or maybe a bit on the back. I don't know if the exhaust valve will have really any gains from doing that, but I think the intake valve, if I take this off at mid lift, it should get some gains. I don't think it's going to do nothing when the valve's open, like you know, over half an inch. But yeah, I think I'll for sure take the slip off the the intake. I think that'll help. But if you have any experience, let me know. I'm going to read up about it myself. But yeah, my labor is worth nothing, but parts aren't free. So we're going to, if I can get an extra tenth out of it, if it takes me 10 hours on a grinder or a file in the drill press, then so be it. So yeah, that's what we're doing. So this one's pretty much wrapped up. Then I got that one to do next, and then I'll soak them in some oven cleaner and take them to car wash after I scrape all the gaskets and everything, of course. And then I'll WD-40 them and put them aside in a bag once they're dry, and they'll be ready for when the bottom end is done. So it should be a pretty wicked car for this season if we get it done, because the motor is going to sit back about 6 more inches than that small block. And I think it's going to hook like a bastard, and it's going to hit hard out of the hole with a big block, especially with a little snort of gas right off the hole. So anyhow, that's what we got going on. So all right, have a good one. Till next time, eh?